wiring harness in their attempts to solve the misfire, but all to no avail. All he could do now was press on. With the light fading fast, headlights came on down the field. Young guns Ryan and Carrie Hill were overly cautious on the long stages and lost chunks of time, but they mixed this with some impressive stage times during the day to be well placed for day 3. Woodsbank panel beater Rocky Reinecker and Andre Pfeiffer swapped their Class A7 Golf for a Group N Hencom panel beater Subaru this season and were going well, running just outside the top 10. With a burgeoning gaggle of Subarus in Class N4, they had plenty of competition to keep them focused. One of the new Subaru brigade were new entrants Jacques Woerter and Peter Labuschagne. They would not make it to the end of the rally, retiring in an unlucky stage 13. After a series of non-finishers, veteran Tony Ball and Dean Riedlinghuis survived the battle to fight another day in their Class A7 Wilbur Park Volkswagen player. At the halfway point of the rally, Gemmell held a healthy advantage with Kuhn's strong performance on stage 10, vaulting him up to 3rd. A scoring error placed Berger in 8th, but he was actually in 7th spot. A 6 a.m. start greeted crews on day 3. Rally leader Gemmell was once again first on the road, leaving Parc Fermé as the sun crept over the horizon.
Day 3 of the Total Rally of South Africa. We're in the Botplaas area where the heart of the rally has really been run. And today there's 150 kilometers to run, as much as on the first 2 days. And Dion at the top of the leaderboard is pretty close. Obviously, final day, and it's today they can't hang around anymore. They've made it through the halfway stage, and now it's flat out from here on in.
Well, they're now in the finishing straight, and they now have to give it all. And we're probably going to see a higher rate of attrition today. I think some of those front runners, the pace of yesterday is going to start taking its toll. It would be really nice to see 6 or 7 top guys all racing to the finish. They're very closely put together. But I have to say, with these long stages, we've got a 48k stage again, we've got some 30k stages. It's going to be very hard on the cars, very hard on the drivers, and I think we might see some surprises.
The first surprise was quick in coming, underscoring the unpredictability of rallying. Gemmell's Subaru blew a piston on the open road section before the first stage, and he was out of the event. His misfortune put Damso back in the lead, but just 1 minute 15 seconds covered the first 5 cars. Now in second, Kuhn appeared to be on the limit, but even so he was a massive 21 seconds slower than stage winner Damso over the 20-kilometer stage. As the pace at the sharp end picked up significantly, Lawrence was a further 11 seconds down on Kuhn. There was no time for hanging around anymore. Hubbock's crew raised the rev limit on the Golf in an attempt to wrest more power from the engine. It appeared to pay dividends as he posted the 3rd fastest time, but more importantly, demoted Lawrence to 5th place.
Dion, one of the distinguishing features of this event is pace notes compared to normal road book. Give us a brief rundown on the difference between the 2 methods.
Of course, as you know, most rallies in the National Championship run on what we would call the normal road book, which is a set of instructions helping the navigator to tell the driver where to go. And of course, you also have route markings. Pace notes, which are used overseas and on some events here, in particular this event that we're on, and also the mountain trial, designed to provide much more detailed information, usually done by the crews before an event during a practice run, and allowing the navigator to call very, very accurate instructions and the driver to trust those instructions totally and utterly implicitly.
Can you just show us how it all works?
I'll just start at the top of the page here. What I would read to the drivers, we would be coming along and I would call that a fast left over a crest, then 50, caution, do not miss, turn slow left before posts. Then it gives you a little diagram of what the instruction looks like. After that, there's 400 meters. Do a turn slow right, do not cut, it's again before trees. Again, it gives you a little diagram. Then 200 meters flat jump, 200 meters, caution, turn slow right before trees, again a diagram.
One of the issues around pace notes is the expense, and the expense of wrecking the route ahead of time obviously makes the event much longer and much costlier. So what they do here, they get one individual to do the pace notes, and then they do a convoy type recce in normal road cars a week or so ahead of the event, so that the navigators in particular can check those pace notes against their own observations and then adapt them accordingly.
With a 41-second lead, Damso could afford to feel a little more relaxed as his crew got to work on servicing the Runx, but he was not altogether happy and felt that the car's handling could still be improved further.
From an A8 point of view, well ahead of the rest of the guys, but Rueda seems to be turning up his pace a bit. Is he an issue for you at the stage?
On the long stage, at 48 k's is a very rough stage, and those four-wheel drives seem to go very well. We saw with Gibbons, Johnny Gimble, what he did yesterday. So a bit worried about the long stage.
You're going to be able to maybe pick up a couple of seconds more and consolidate the lead to allow you to approach that stage a little bit more carefully.
Well, that's a plan at the moment. You know, the next stage is to see if we can open up a little bit and then go through that long one, if we can make it through.
Great. Well, we wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Damso's strategy of building a buffer to Rueda went according to plan as he took another 16 seconds off the Spaniard on stage 14. Although happy to be second, Kuhn was determined to keep the pressure on Damso in the hope of forcing the multiple champion into a mistake. He was once again taking his Golf to its limits, but it was not fast enough. The Toyota emerged 7 seconds quicker over the 25-kilometer stage. Lawrence responded after Habib wrested away 4th place, but despite upping his pace on the stage, he was only 4th fastest. But there was no stopping Habib from taking his first and only stage win of the event. The higher rev limit obviously helped his quest for more power, but he was also using all the road and more as he extracted the maximum from the car. 5 seconds quicker than Damso, he was now well ensconced in 4th. Rueda and Buerta had been on a charge on the first 2 stages of the morning, leapfrogging from 6th to 3rd. They now had Kuhn's 2nd place in their sights, but made a mistake on stage 14, losing 9 seconds to the Golf. Meanwhile, Fecken was still driving as fast as the misfiring player would allow. Berger had settled for 2nd in class in a top 6 finish, but a new set of brake pads caught him out early in stage 15 and he crashed out of the event. That gave Fecken 6th place. Reiniger drove solidly to benefit from others' misfortune and moved into 10th. Visser du Plessis and Tilo van Westenhagen experienced a series of mechanical problems throughout the event in their Subaru, but they persisted and were knocking on the top 10 door. Christa Witz and Janine Labuschagne led Class N2 in their CTH Transport Toyota Corolla, while Stephen Patter and Calvin Flockhart were ahead in Class A5 in their City Golf. Unfortunately, they would roll out of the event on the final stage. Nkosinati Nzimande and Fani Meyiwa produced a superb showing in their Sasol City Golf. They finished just 7 seconds behind A5 winners Rodney Versaghi and Carolyn Swan, and were it not for a 10-second penalty, they would have taken the overall class win. Brian and Keith Heine took Class N1. Waiting for news can be stressful. In car with Damso, let's watch him at work. There was no taking it easy for Damso. Worried about Rueda's challenge from behind, he was flat out, determined that no one was going to deny him this victory. The large crowds loved it. As fast as Damso was on the stage, Kuhn was taking no prisoners. He blitzed the long 48-kilometer stage, taking 24 seconds off the Toyota. Serge was 2nd fastest. Lawrence picked his pace up to take 9 seconds back from Habib. Their fight was not over yet. Despite being slower than the Toyota, Habich's flamboyant style remained a crowd favourite. Rueda was determined to relieve Kuhn of second, but was using more road than was available, a policy that would later cost him dearly. Fecken also threw his player around in style, despite the disappointment of not being able to take the fight to Lawrence. The long stage 15 offered the crews a mix of conditions, from the smooth, high-speed sections to the slow and bumpy forest roads seen in car here.
Fernando, just when you looked set for a podium finish, a bit of bad luck?
Yeah, and we were 15 seconds behind Enzo, lying third, and we just went in maximum attack, you know, and we knew that in 48Ks we should win the stage because of the four-wheel drive and not, our tires last a lot longer. And instead, 6Ks in, I went wide and we got a puncture. Sitting here, as you can see. And unfortunately, with 42Ks to go, there's nothing you can do. So we stopped and changed it, and we lost 3 minutes, which pushed us back to 6th.
The final stage was just 12 kilometers long, and with victory almost assured, Damso was given the fright of his life when fuel pressure problems left his car spluttering up hills. It allowed Kuhn to take back 14 seconds, but it was not enough to concede the win. Kuhn, meanwhile, was just pleased that his car had made it to the end in one piece, earning him his first points of the year. With Rueda having lost 3 minutes with his puncture, the scrap between Habich and Lawrence was now for the final podium position. There was no room for easing off or errors now. It was a case of flat out to the flag. Watch how Lawrence uses the entire road in his final quest for position. Meanwhile, behind the Toyota, Habich's challenge was fast disintegrating. His Golf had developed a severe misfire, the result of a camshaft pulley about to break. In a cruel twist of fate, similar to that suffered by Damso on last year's event, the Golf's engine expired within sight of the flying finish. It was a bitter blow after a gritty drive. Damso arrived at the end of the stage shaking his head in disbelief at how close he was to retirement due to the fuel pressure problem. Also of concern was that the Corolla still had to make the close on 100 kilometers of open section back to Park Ferme. The time board reflects no time for the luckless Habich and Judd. Despite missing out on the podium, Rueda finished with another stage win to end the rally on a high. With a smile, he explains where Habich was parked.
I was going to say, so some people have worse luck than me. He is about 300 meters from the end, on the right-hander. Car parked there. I think I'm swapping engine, I would assume. The car looks straight. Anyway, after a puncture was the end of the wall, we finished fourth after all, instead of second.
Enzo Kuhn, last the stage is over, but it's never over until the fat lady sings.
That's right, Ask Yanni about that, 500 meters from the end, and it's still fresh in my mind last year when I passed Guy Hodgson walking with Serge Damso about 500 meters from the end. This rally really has a sting in the tail, but well, I mean, we're delighted. We're delighted to be here after 2 days of hard work. We really tried hard on this event.
It's been a tough one for you. The car hasn't been quite on song. On the other hand, it's also an event of endurance. You said that all along, and it seems to have paid off.
It has. We were under pressure from the very first stage, and I must pay tribute to the Hodgson here because we had an exceptionally fast event in our car or on the limits, but very clean. We never made a mistake, we never touched anything, which is why the car is here at the end. And that's greatly due to Guy Hodgson's ability to deliver the pace notes effectively. So I have to thank him for that. And I really enjoyed the event. I enjoyed every kilometre of the stages. It was a good pace to run at, and I think there were 4 cars never outside of a minute of each other. So the pressure was on until about a minute ago.
Guy, this is one of the events in the championship where pace notes are allowed. What's your feeling on them?
Oh, look, pace notes are wonderful. I believe they're much safer than blind, and the navigator plays that much greater role in the car. So from a personal basis, I love them. Great fun.
A lot of people say that it makes the crews go faster and therefore there's a safety issue. How would you feel about that?
No, totally the opposite. Yes, they go faster, without doubt. But the driver knows the bad bits that are coming, and the navigator can warn him, so he's not driving blind into a bad situation, then he has a crash. So no, I think pace notes are safer, without doubt.
You're not concerned about the fact that they wouldn't actually be your pace notes, although of course you're interpreting them?
No, not at all. We've done a recce. I've changed the pace notes extensively to suit the style that Enzo wants. No, not at all. Great fun.
Now, of course, with Johnny having had the problem, you still got a way to go and to get to Park Ferme. Are you sure your car's not going to have the same little melody along the way?
Listen, Dion, I'm going to put it in neutral on the downhills, okay? I'm going to just let it idle down, and I'm going to run it in 6th gear up the hills and drive probably slower than an old lady drives to church.
Great. Well, we'll leave the congratulations. You get to Park Ferme, but well done so far.
Thank you. We'll see you there.
Total's Andries van der Walt was overjoyed at Lawrence and Vermeulen finishing Total's own event on the podium. Congratulations all around were in order. And yes, Kuhn did make it to Park Ferme to confirm his 2nd place, while Damser took top spot and was delighted to be back on the pace at the front of the field. He's now ahead in the championship. Confirmation of the final results reflects another good event for Subaru, with places 6 to 10 belonging to the mark.